This is our podcast where we belly flop into the bouncy house of mystery, surrounded by conspiracies and unexplained phenomena, with theories so bizarre they may actually make you say,
"Are they thinking with their butt?"
Welcome back everybody.
Oh.
That is right. I am Chris.
And I'm Katie.
You shut your face. And this is Stop Thinking with Your Butt. Whoa.
It's like testosterone take over.
Yes.
Which is funny because then off the radio, you're like, hey, meow, meow.
Oh my gosh.
Meow, meow.
And this is why I got to reassert myself. No, you always start the intro and you always try to dominate my life. And so therefore, I'm just taking back just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm so sorry. Now. Let's continue. Hi. Yes. Why don't we start with you telling us the weirdest thing you've done or seen? Do you have a story?
I kind of have a story.
Okay, you go
This
then.
is kind of fun. So recently I was at a event for work and it was a charity event and it was a golf tournament. And each hole, I've never been to a tournament like this before. I'm not a golfer, so I didn't know how these things work, but each hole is sponsored by a company.
Okay.
So you get to the hole and I don't know what the other holes did, but
There's an event at each hole.
There's an event at each hole.
Okay.
Or it's usually like candy or sponsorship or a brochure. Who knows?
Okay.
But when the golfers got to our hole, they had to wear drunk goggles
Oh, I've
to
worn those.
hit the ball, to
Those
tee
are fun.
off. Or they could pay money to not wear the goggles. And that's how our hole made money for this charity.
So are the drunk goggles effective?
I would say so. Because not being a golfer, I learned some golf terms, such as whiffing,
Okay.
which is what happens when you swing your heart and soul out and you miss the ball completely.
You saw a lot of that with them wearing those
Oh,
glasses.
there was whiffing galore. There's a whiff. Here's a whiff. Everywhere a whiff whiff.
Were they upset or were they like, oh, this is good fun?
It was all
Or they're
in
like,
good-
you got to be kidding me.
It was all in good fun until it wasn't.
Always that one.
They're, hitting the ground, getting divots, kicking up the turf really big, really hard.
They snapped their club.
So, you had to pay $10 to not wear the goggles. We made $300.
No, I'm glad you held them hostage.
So, yeah,
That's cool.
It was fun. It was fun to watch. Well, and then this is, but the thing that's almost more funny and more interesting, not even funny, almost concerning. How many of the golfers didn't need to wear the goggles because they were already wearing them?
They're doubling down with the goggles.
I had a group of ladies come through, couldn't even stand up.
What's that breakfast drink?
Mimosas. I don't even know what these ladies had. But the fact that it was... The fact that they were driving golf cart.
They were driving the golf carts?
They all had their own golf cart.
So if you don't know, the reason why Katie was even at this golf course on this hole is she works with a nonprofit organization that works on or that deals with distracted driving and, say no to drugs.
Drunk
and all
driving.
that.
Don't drink and drive.
So that's fun. That's a good story.
So it was don't drink and drive, like golf club driver, and don't drink and drive. And here are all like, I'm not even exaggerating. Maybe 60 golf carts full of drunk people.
Well, I'm glad they're learning something.
At 8:00 in the morning.
So that is a perfect segue to my show that I'm going to do today.
Yeah.
So.
Give it to me.
Oh, yeah. I'll fill your ears with awesomeness. Okay.
What else would you fill my ears with, you sociopath? Don't even answer.
I'm not answering it. I'm continuing the program while you are attempting to derail me.
Yes.
Last episode, we talked about Project Stargate.
Yeah, that
and
was
how
really,
the CIA
really cool.
was looking at remote viewing. They kind of concluded that it was ineffective. It was somewhat inconclusive.
Right.
However, they punted it to the military. And
Punted it. Look at you. We're like full of sports. We're like a sports channel now.
I watch one sport, football.
Okay.
Video, punt. Boom. Diversity.
I know.
So they kicked it, handed off, threw it to the military, and they ran with it. We're going to talk a little bit about that and how that ended up with them.
Okay.
We'll start with the CIA again, right? The CIA started with the ESP and the psychic stuff, and then they transferred to Fort Meade is what the Army...
Fort Meade? Where's that? Tennessee?
I want to say
Kansas.
Virginia or Maryland.
Somewhere in the east, yeah. Southern easterly.
Maybe we should research. Maryland. Just like I said. Actually, I'm not even going to use my phone.
No, you're on. Don't even use your notes. Close it. We're talking psychics.
I'm just using my mind. I'm going to search the web. Stop it. Maryland.
Nice. Nailed it. First try.
Nailed it. So that is where Fort Meade was. And not long afterwards, you actually had, this is in the 1980s, or actually 1981, you had the Italian terrorist group known as Red Brigade in Italy kidnapped a U.S. general.
Did not even know that there was an Italian mafia Red Brigade.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of random terrorist organizations just in the world. And it was a brigadier general. And you know how we know if it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 star.
Be my little general.
Be my little general. So brigadier is a
1 star.
1 star. Woo woo. Weak. So.
What's the term? Disposable.
There you go. James Dozer was kidnapped from his home in Verona, Italy's largest manhunts, to try to find where this American general, because this is a pretty big deal.
I was like, even if it was 1 star general, it's still a
huge deal, but it just doesn't happen.
Right.
So eventually he was rescued 6 weeks later.
6 weeks.
Yeah, but the U.S. Army used its own way to find the general with a psychic seer.
Yeah.
They brought him in to use remote viewing. And when he arrived in Italy wearing a long flowing,
Shut up.
saffron colored robe.
Shut up.
Again.
What a douche.
So a lot of these psychics, if you listen to our...
Was he on a Segway?
Well, hold on. This is the 80s, so no. But if you listen to our last episode, a lot of these psychics, as they continue to do psychic stuff, they don't lose confidence. They gain
confidence.
And why wouldn't you want to gain confidence by
dressing the part?
Be flashy.
You know how the Shriners Hospital, the
what?
Shriners Hospital.
I don't know that.
They you'll know when I tell you.
Okay.
In parades they drive the little cars with the little fezzes.
I think I know what you're talking about.
The Shriners. They're called Shriners.
Yeah. Okay.
Did he have a Shriner car?
Oh, I don't know. Most likely.
Okay.
If he didn't bring it with him, he probably has it at home. But they brought... First of all, what is saffron? What color is that?
I think that's using my psychic
You're the
abilities.
artist. I thought you would just know it offhand.
I thought it was like terracotta. Hold on.
I'm going to vision like a not quite purple, but not quite red.
It's either a red or a green.
The suspense.
It's a deep red.
Ooh, it's almost like Doctor Strange.
It's
dark red.
Dark red.
Oh, okay. I think you just said dark red. Okay, so they asked the psychic, who then asked to go to the actual apartment where the kidnapping occurred to get a better reading. Unfortunately, the use of the seer proved unsuccessful. He failed. However, don't eye roll. I know that was kind of anticlimactic, but all it was really doing was showing the lengths that the Army was willing to try unusual avenues to accomplish difficult jobs. They're at least willing to try that.
Which is actually wonderful. Wonderful. Admit defeat, move on. Nothing gets accomplished in the face of arrogance.
It can also be looked at as wasteful.
Why?
It was unsuccessful.
But they tried.
Yeah, wasteful in resources.
Wasteful would be not trying.
Okay, let's continue. So
I'm very passionate about putting effort behind your job.
Yeah, but moving on, because I think if you keep trying, but you're unsuccessful, that product is bad. Quick story.
Okay. Yes. Story time with Chris.
Nope. Quick backstory for the military in 1980. So this time when we're looking at them getting into this psychic type of thing, it was post-Vietnam and there was a lot of fighting.
Right.
And also in this Vietnam era, you had a lot of new age ideas come about during that time. You had some people in the military envisioning way outside the box when you're looking at how to deal with certain things, of like a warrior monk type of soldier who, through the mastery of ESP, they can leave their body at will. They can levitate. They can use psychic healing. They can walk through walls. They would be the next kind of super soldier.
Is this where the concept of nirvana came from?
I think that's an older concept.
I mean, it's super old, but was it because like hippies and things were in the 70s?
Well, I don't know the origin of nirvana. I feel like that's just it's just a term for that chakra and the energy and everything else.
You know how things go through trends? Like, was that concept just trending?
Well, it was trending. It was almost like revitalized, I would say, more than trending, because it's always been around for
for thousands of years, reaching nirvana.
Yes, but it was just more open to it. And so because it was in the military, a lot of the people were thinking, more specifically, Colonel Shannon was thinking that he wanted to seek out different spiritual or esoteric technologies and see what it was all about, and if there was any application for the military.
Okay.
Because if it came up, it's just like, hey, let's think outside the box and let's take advantage of every single thing. Because they actually stated in like Vietnam, right? If some people died, some people didn't. What was it? Luck? Was it chance? Was
it training?
And if it was luck, maybe training. But if it was luck, could you harness luck? Can you add more luck? Can you quantify it? Right?
Ooh, that's in Harry Potter too.
What is
luck? Liquid luck.
Oh, well, there you go. They're trying to be a Harry Potter, but in the real world, babe.
So it's like
we are in the real world.
Harry Potter is real.
Oh, that's true. So that's what he was trying to do. He had his foundation for his whole experience into this new type of esoteric technology and ESP and all this came from the Esalen Institute for the Exploration of Human Potential.
Ooh,
located in California. We should stop by there next time we're down there.
We should.
So there.
I love that. The Esoteric Institute for Human Potential?
The exploration of human potential.
Exploration of human potential.
Everyone has potential.
What if he got kicked out of that school?
Well, he was potentially good. So there, he learned all these human performance skills and started to create a manual. And, you know, he started documenting them through a manual. And the manual is called The Evolutionary Tactics. Because, you know, super soldier, the warrior monk. What type of tactics, you would say?
Juggling.
Well, how about the use of carrying a baby goat into war as a symbolic gesture?
Shut your face so hard. Shut your hole.
Or the giving of automatic hugs, carrying a speaker that would play indigenous music and words of peace. Soldiers could just fast on juices for a week and only eat nuts and grains. Hold up, it gets better. They could eat grains for a whole month. They would fall in love with everyone. They can sense plants' auras, move through objects, massage and cleanse the colon.
Oh, wait.
I'll pause there. Let you recover.
I'm choking on the bullshit. Oh, gosh. Gosh.
So just so you know, once they started mentioning the massage and cleanse of the colon, I was like, you lost me. I was kind of with you.
You're not woke.
I was with you with the baby goat.
You're
because I'm like,
my battle buddy.
No, worst case scenario, you have a snack.
No.
So
don't eat battle buddy.
But this is a real thing. The military was paying a colonel who's making a lot of money to learn all this stuff And then he's writing a book about because it's all the concepts of like love and peace and so on, right?
Was he like the laughing stock of the military?
I don't think it was a laughing stock yet.
Oh, no.
Well, because no one knows him, right?
There's people, because you're in the military, there's people that I know that you know that would be put in situations like this.
No, I know.
Right?
I know. But regardless, it's interesting that they paid him to do that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm getting at.
That's hilarious.
And so it actually, so let's keep going, right? Some of his words, so it goes on and on. It's a whole like manuscript.
This is fighting wars with hugs and baby goats.
Peace and love. So other things that they're talking about is hearing other people's thoughts and also recognizing if you're being programmed.
If just themselves are being programmed or if other people are being programmed. Like, you're a person, you're a robot.
No, everyone is being programmed by the system.
Of course.
Of course. So this is and we can change violent patterns in the world if we understand we're being programmed. So therefore we can change our program. It sounds very similar to David Icke's How Do You Defeat the Lizard People? You defeat it through love and positive energy and thoughts and all that. And so that's what I think.
Which isn't totally wrong. I think that some situations can be conquered with love.
Yeah. And so that's what this individual thinks, right? Because you're a warrior poet, warrior monk.
I know, but you can't stop a machete.
Well,
with
if
love.
Peace doesn't work, if the people couldn't accept peace, they're also warriors. So here we go. So what's the superhero going to do if they don't want the peace?
Love me or die.
There you go.
That's how you won me over.
You had no choice.
No.
If they choose not to have peace, then these super soldiers would just walk through their walls, remote view into a room, and know what is behind every door. They can disarm enemies with a thought, and they'll be the most efficient on getting the jump on the enemy. The enemy wouldn't stand a chance. Which
would actually be pretty dang cool.
Yeah. So
if it was real.
His manual is not saying what they're doing now, but what people have the potential to do.
Have the capability of doing. Oh, that's right. Potential. It's all about potential.
Oh, yeah, that's a potential. Yeah, that's the whole point, right? It's potential. Some can. Yeah, potential. That's words matter. So let's just think about that.
You don't always seem to think so.
Colonel Shannon commanded the First Earth Battalion.
Earth Battalion.
That is what they called his group of people.
Earth Battalion? Earth Warriors?
First Earth Battalion. Like a spiritual earth, Yes, because they're like, you're so forward thinking. We are going to give you your own playroom. And we're going to pin the metal on you.
We're going to give you your own sandbox. We're going to rub your hair, champ. We're going to call you Ranger, champ, buckaroo.
Oh, man. This Earth Battalion was actually part of a larger thing called Delta Force, and it had over 300 officials. Why do you react like that?
I know Delta Force.
What is it?
I don't know. I just know I know it.
You mean that cool elite counterterrorism unit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that.
Oh.
This is a different Delta Force, and its name was given to the unit during the Cold War. Because at the time, the U.S., as we talked about before, right, the Soviet and U.S. were trying to outcock each other.
Outdick each other? Yeah. God.
They said that even because they're...
Did you write outcock each other in your notes?
No, I just...
That's from your mind? That's from your internet mind?
It's just internet mind. It just happens, right? Because the mechanical equipment was pretty much dead even between the U.S. and Russia, they needed basically to separate the mechanical piece by focusing on the individual human development.
Okay.
And so that human...
We can't make our technology better. We're going to make our people better.
Yep. Well, it's not technology better, but it's matched, right? Yeah. And so in order to get that people piece, that human piece will be the delta between the two armies, or known as the difference.
Right.
Right. So that's why it's called Delta Force. It's going to be the
different force.
Yes.
The different.
Yeah. I think because this was created strange enough before Delta Force was actually around. So this came first. Love and peace. and B, the delta of individual people. Okay, so that's your math lesson for the day if you didn't know what delta was.
Okay.
So the military was preparing a new battalion or a new battlefield dimension in the field of psychotronics or bioenergetics.
Okay.
So this team also, just so you know, this whole Delta Force, they created the slogan, be
different.
That was quick. You just jumped on that.
Yeah.
Not be different. Be all that you can be. You know, the whole Army logo. That's the task force that created that because
it's reach your full potential.
You can be a superpower psychic soldier.
Superpower psychic soldier.
I feel like when they went to the final edition, they're like, why don't we just leave it with be all you could be and then just leave out the rest of that stuff.
Superpower, super soldier. He'll take pollution down to 0.
I just thought it was funny that
earth, air, fire, water, difference.
Nope, the last one was heart.
I know.
And that's what they focus on. So I just thought it was pretty interesting that they were, this is the same group that said be all you can be and so on. So I thought it was great. There was a general named General Stubblebine. That seems like a made up name. You remember those Key and Peele
Once upon
shows?
a time, Mr. Stubblebine. Or
the football players.
Donkey Teeth Buckshanks.
I'm Stubblebine, baby dude.
Exactly. So, very good.
General Stubblebine was known for being open-minded, and he actually was in charge of this unit. He would create an open environment where anything, no matter how crazy, would be allowed to be tested.
Oh, wait.
As you said, right?
Let's take a moment. Let's get crazy. Put your feet in these yams.
Buried in the moonlight. And then you could walk on water.
Yeah.
We'll see. But some of these ideas...
Screaming at bubbles.
We did scream at bubbles to see if we can pop it. Side note, you can't.
No, you can't.
My sonic force of my voice did not pop a bubble. But it was super fun to scream at the bubble.
And try.
Oh, if you have not done that, pure joy. And frustration, too.
I think this name of this episode is going to be Screaming at Bubbles.
A lot of energy, a lot of effort. Just
a whole lot of effort.
Not going anywhere.
Whew.
So, some of the things that they tested were passing through walls, animal heart bursting, levitation, invisibility. Some would go on long fastings or do vegan-style diets.
Ooh, how superhuman.
No, but to your point, you're like, how do you attune? Right. How do you have better energy so that you can be more consistent?
Purify your energy.
Pure mind and body.
Purify your intake.
Mm-hmm. So they would also learn certain martial arts. They'll do meditation. Anything that could strengthen their body or mind. His unit, that our First Earth Battalion, would basically dabble in all of these things. So again,
which makes sense if you're trying to strengthen the unit you're trying to perfect. Yes,
it would be pretty cool to do that and get paid.
Yeah,
instead of being a bum.
Eat healthy, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Do you think that you would be able to do it?
I could. I don't see why I wouldn't. Why? Why are you
I'm
looking at me like that?
I'm just trying to think if we were getting paid to be healthy.
Yeah, I would do that. Why
right.
not?
You wouldn't be like, after 2 days, just fire me. Let me go.
I wouldn't, but I'm glad your willpower is actually.
You know it's weak.
If you go through the train, though, your willpower may get stronger.
Even better.
You'll be a better person. Okay, so General Stubblebine was also made famous during the movie The Men Who Stares at Goats. I was about to say ghost.
Which I'd be like staring.
Would be super creepy.
If you were just staring at a ghost, I'm about to poop my pants and I'm not even really doing it.
It turned a dark corner. No, he was staring at goats. The general.
He was staring at goats or he started that program?
No, the movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats, he was made famous in that movie because he was the Johnson who kept running into the wall.
He was that guy?
He was that guy. And in the movie, he full speeds runs into his wall multiple times because in his head, strange enough because they do interviews with him, he's still alive. He's actually, to this day, sad that he failed at running through walls. He takes it very, very personal because he's like...
He feels like he should have been able to do it.
Because he's like, hey, the wall is made up of atoms and atoms have space between it. His body is also made up of atoms with space. So why wouldn't you be not able to walk through walls? He just had to push his body harder. And so he kept doing it over and over and over again.
Oh.
Well, thankfully, CERN determined why the atoms don't just separate. There's actually a bond between it. So particle energy.
That was me.
Yeah. But it wasn't around that time.
Yeah.
It didn't know that. And well, I guess he didn't know that clearly. He ran to the wall multiple times. Good for him. Liked the energy. I like the effort, I guess.
The effort is, I cannot condone anybody for putting in effort.
No. And so he would also send himself and his soldiers to spoon bending parties. So he
spoon bending parties.
Spoon bending.
Like candle parties, Tupperware parties, spoon bending parties.
Yes. That is what they did. And which apparently it did work. He stated that you can bend spoons. He's 100% convinced. He actually had a tray of these spoons that were looked like a corkscrew type of thing. And it's not spoon bending how I would think spoon bending, like the Matrix. I'm looking at it and there is no spoon bend,
and it
bends. This one, what it is doing is like you're looking at the atoms and you're telling the atoms in the metal to heat up and to get loose or whichever. And then you take it with two hands and you twist it really hard. And then it twists. It goes into a twist. So he was convinced it worked. And when he got replaced about if he'd been to these spoon parties and what his thoughts were, he had been to spoon parties. He was convinced that the spoon bending thing was truth. But he couldn't see any military application. And so he was just like, and he moved on.
Yeah. What? Can you think of any scenario in the military where you would need to bend a spoon? Or bend anything?
Or think about it for a very long time. There's other ways.
We need it now, Johnson! Damn it, Johnson!
Bend.
Heat and warm. Give me 5 more minutes of positive energy, please.
So the general was also trying to recruit special forces to participate in his program, because if you're looking for the strongest and people with strong minds and everything else, special forces, right? They can do all that. So one was a person named Sergeant First Class Glenn Wheaton. He was in the military's 5-month project called Project Jedi. Ooh. So we're going to learn, yes, all this mind stuff started with Project Stargate, and it's part of like the big umbrella piece.
Right.
The first thing in the military was Project Jedi, where soldiers would...
This was even before before Stargate?
No, Stargate is the umbrella of everything.
Okay.
The CIA started Project Stargate, and this is just another program within that umbrella. In that 20-year time span.
Oh, gotcha.
So here, soldiers would perform unusual feats, just like using a weapon blindfolded. You know that big famous Star Wars
where he's blindfolded and he's blocking laser beams with their little robot.
Exactly. That is what they were trying to do. So,
oh no. Oh no.
Quick, we need a test subject.
No.
Katie, get over here.
I'm sorry, the energy's too negative.
That's going to be your excuse for everything.
I have IBS. That's my excuse for everything. So
it tested the use of what's called neurolinguistics.
Neurolinguistics?
Neurolinguistics. Say it again.
Neurolinguistics?
I'm going to copy and edit that for every time I need to say that. Programming on NLP, a new way to teach soldiers how to shoot like a .45 caliber pistol. So this NLP, it basically uses a higher consciousness or meditative state, and it'll cause a soldier or yourself to excel in performance. So it's not always about me being a psychic soldier and I can like levitate you. It's also, can you use your mind and wills and everything else to be a better soldier too?
Like PCP?
No.
Or speed?
No, that's the opposite.
Oh, okay.
This is like, I can study really fast and learn things quickly.
Oh, gotcha.
Right. And so
I was thinking being more of like a tank.
No.
This is more of like an intellectual soldier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So that's what
neurolinguistic
is all about. Higher consciousness, meditation to excel in performance. So neurology is the physical, mental, and emotional component. The language piece is how you communicate with others and yourself. The function, perceiving your mind as your internal operating system. and how your past experiences, thoughts, and emotions affect areas of your life. And if you incorporate that, the project will make you an expert marksman. At the end of it.
Oh my goodness. So not practice and repetition.
Well, I'm sure that's in there too.
But like clearing your mind and knowing your history and
yes.
speaking with therapists and hugging it out and baby
because
goats.
what it would show is it would have you think about how you behave during shooting. What were your thoughts before the shot? What did you say to yourself before the shot? Things like that. They had a couple odd results of the project.
Yeah. I think so.
Think of even when I went to West Point, they would have these sports, like before I performed something, I would visualize it. I would think about it. I would think, I'm the best. I can do it. That's kind of this, like a watered down version of this, where if you think it, if you feel it, if you kind of, I don't know, tell yourself.
But without the proper training, if you think it, feel it, if you envision it, it will happen. In the reverse, that's how sociopaths are born.
Well, no, this is combined to make you better.
So if you envision it and you're like, I'm the best, I'm a hero, I'm the greatest, and you're not.
No, or you do feel it has a pretty impact.
The high
will then go
is
to low.
Now the low.
Oh. So let's see what the result.
Such is the case of the person who was like, I can't remember all the details, but a guy who was trying to envision what you want, work for it, be positive, wasn't getting what he wanted, and so he kidnapped this girl that he was trying to woo and ends up murdering her.
Well, we can't. What you say? We can't hurt someone for trying. Something like that. Giving effort. Okay.
Damn it! You used my words against me. Okay.
I listen. So the results of some of these projects is if they had the marksman sing "Mary Had a Little Lamb" while they're firing, it caused them to perform poorly.
Oh, poorly.
Mm-hmm. Don't ask me why.
Sing it out loud, or
while they're shooting, they're singing "Mary Had a Little Lamb."
Well, I'm just trying to think. Like,
keep in mind, it's not the physical, like holding or your breathing; it's the mindset. So if you're thinking of just "Mary Had a Little Lamb" compared to thinking, "I'm going to have my eyes on the target. I'm going to neutralize the threat. Anyone else who comes here, I'm going to kill." Whatever they tell themselves.
Is this what you tell yourself? From personal
My mind
experience.
is fun.
Yeah, your mind is a battleground.
So after 5 months of this training, they had an experimental team, which is the team that went through the training, and a controlled team, which is the normal marksmanship training. And when they compared in terms of marksmanship qualifications on who did better, the normal team had 8 out of 11 people qualify first time go. And then the experimental team had everyone qualify.
Oh.
But as we have seen in history, when you have tests, we have to look at all the data, all the conditions to see
variables.
You have to see if the data is accurate. So there were flaws in the data, such as the weather conditions were different between the two teams.
Right.
They even use a different range.
Oh, that's not fair. Oh, no.
Right. So different range and different weather conditions.
What was the distance?
They didn't. Well, it's not the distance. It was just it's pistols. So it's all close up. It could be sunny. It could be cloudy.
Yeah,
it could
but
be raining.
I'm like, if is one shooting at 15 yards and the other one's at 5?
No, the distance is the same.
Okay.
It's still a qualification course.
Okay.
But
there's still, but different
there's
ranges,
different conditions. If I have the sun in front of my
weather.
face compared to other things, so that's all they're
I would
stating.
think that they would be indoor ranges if they're trying to be statistically accurate.
If they were trying to be statistically accurate. Exactly.
Yeah.
They probably did not focus on that. That is why they're saying that the sample sizes were too small. They had 11 people per team.
Yeah.
And so they concluded that the difference between the two in reality were too statistically not significant to draw any conclusions from the whole program.
Yeah.
So therefore they realized and they go, and they kind of moved on with that program.
A bigger field to study, a bigger caseload. Yeah.
Or they went on to a new project called Suggestopedia.
Suggestopedia?
Yeah, I'm going to suggest.
I can see it. Wait, hold on. You're sending me a message. Oh.
I'm going to suggest something to you. So in this, they determined to see if soldiers can learn languages faster. Because they're applying some of these holistic practices for shooting, for learning, and just performance and so on. And so one group was taught the conventional way, and the other group learned in a pleasant living room.
Oh.
Before they started each day, they did stretching to promote relaxation.
Oh.
Then breathing techniques, and they use the use of guided imagery. Basically, remember a time you felt when you took your best English test. How was your teacher? How did your stomach feel to enhance your performance? Right? So you got to tap into that. They also review language materials while gentle, soothing music played in the background. Would you like that?
I would.
I would find...
I'm trying it right now.
You like yoga.
I do.
I get very annoyed in yoga.
You hate it.
Yeah. So let's see how this worked. So afterwards, it was concluded that the accelerated learning did not result, nor did the overall positive attitude in the students. Translation, they were annoyed a lot. did not work. I would have been I would have been those soldiers who were like, come on. Like, I don't mind doing the stretching. I don't bend a lot.
You're not flexible.
I'm not flexible. And so it's just very annoying. I don't mind sitting there. I don't mind listening to music, but the yoga stuff, I just cannot do. Sorry.
See, and I'm more like, I like the stretching and I like the yoga and the posing. I get more annoyed when it's like, imagine your hand is a feather and it's raising towards the sky.
See, I like that type of stuff. I do.
See, that's where I get annoyed.
Okay, so here we go. I'm like,
lengthen your body towards eternity.
So I will tell you one of the things I learned, I think it was at West Point too, where it's like talking about how to sleep, where you have to picture your body. You got to lay on your back and you got to picture your body as immovable. It's a stone. And you have people trying to lift one body part at a time. They try to lift your leg, but your leg's too heavy. As try as they might, they can't lift it. And then they go to your knee or your thigh. You can't lift that. They go to your hand. You know, who knows? Hopefully by the time you reach another part, you're already asleep. So
when have you in your life ever needed sleep guidance?
Judgmental a little bit. Hey, there's times. So I used it and it worked.
Mr. 5 minutes into an episode and you're out.
In addition, they actually continued the remote viewing, and not the CIA way, because military CIA have different kind of applications and probably uses, but they just did it the military way. And one of the reported early successes in this field was when they were remote viewing, and the person who was doing the remote viewing noticed or identified a unique Soviet type of submarine.
Okay, this is where I want.
Here we go.
This is what I want to hear.
Remote viewing. Yep.
I want to hear it working.
Successes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
The conventional intelligence analysts and engineers at the time, when they got that intelligence from the First Earth Battalion, can you imagine saying, "We have concluded," and it's like, I don't know, dirt.
Okay.
They hand it.
Concluded dirt.
Well, they hand a report that's just, has a flower on it. And,
made out of leaf or bark.
Yeah. So they looked at it and said, hey, the U.S. doesn't have the technology to build whatever type of submarine that this seer was identifying. So because they didn't have the technology to build it, they were like, well, clearly the Soviets don't have the technology to build it. So they dismissed it. Then shortly afterwards, there was a picture that showed up of a double wide submarine that matched the very description of the technology that the remote viewer saw. So that was a success story from it.
So they saw it.
They saw this double wide style.
Cool. Was there any way for this person to have known?
I doubt it.
Like a leak or something.
Well, not especially if they turned into the other intelligence and they're like, nope, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
We don't have the technology. So I would say no.
Oh.
So it was a success. I don't have any debunking or counter to that, because again, there are some times where the remote viewing can be successful. It's just inconsistent.
All right.
So later, there is a master sergeant and a combat instructor from the Special Forces located at Fort Bragg. A person named Michael E. Chanis was the first recorded successful heart stop of a goat.
What?
Mm-hmm. He was apparently in a combat pit where there's
combat pit.
That's a grappling pit for all you civilians out there, where you tussle around.
Yeah. Tussle.
Throw some wood chips at each other.
Is it commonly indoor or outdoor?
Outdoor.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Outdoor fighting pits, pretty much.
Okay.
And apparently there was a goat near it, and he grabbed it by the horns.
This goat just showed up and was like, "Hey, want to tussle?"
And he dragged the goat into the
So
pit.
he was a jerk.
And was staring at it, looking in the eyes of this goat. Minutes later, or seconds, I don't know. Later, the goat died. Passed out, fell down, heart dead. Eyewitnesses states. This was the first experience that someone killed a goat, and people stated that he wasn't able to duplicate this.
Of course
event.
not. The goat was elderly. The goat was sick, and it was one of those fainting goats.
Yeah, he actually snapped its neck while
Yeah,
it's
I was like,
on accident.
And it was dead while he was staring at it, but he was just using his brute strength to hold it up. And then as soon as his strength gave out, he's a psychic.
Supposedly, he took sympathetic damage to his heart at the time.
Sympathetic damage.
Yep. So not only are you hurting the goat,
You're also hurting
you're
yourself.
also hurting yourself. Later on, this person officially died as a mercenary with the CIA in a helicopter explosion in Nicaragua.
Ooh, that's awful.
Because there's a lot of CIA stuff in Nicaragua at the time. However, those close to him state that he actually didn't die in Nicaragua. That's what the cover story is.
Oh,
But
that's what the goats want you to think.
Well, his close friend says, well, this person, he's big. He was also a big martial artist, and he did like a lot of this mind over matter, and some of those what I call fake martial artists who's like, I can scream at you and you're going to fall away.
Yeah.
He was one of those people too. And so apparently he was attempting to do mind over matter and had a Jeep roll over his stomach.
Oh my.
But in those, you know where this is going. But apparently the driver went too fast. And so
Yes, it was the driver's fault.
And so it killed him. That's what his friends say. So there's conflicting stories. Who knows what to believe?
Yes.
And then there's a side note. Some think that this whole thing could be misinformation because people who were close to the First Earth Battalion, when they did further on interviews, didn't even recall who this Michael person was. During one of the interviews, they were asking about the person who stopped a goat's heart and this combat instructor.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, they're like, no, it's not. You mean you're talking about Guy Sylvia? And like, no, we're talking about Michael, who, the special forces guy.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm pretty sure it was Guy Savelli instead, who was also another combat instructor.
Okay.
So this is where there could be two apparent goat killings, or one could be fake, but the one that's actually in like the stories and what's quote unquote true is this one person. He's a combat instructor and he uses like chakra. He uses like a shield to strengthen his body so that he can absorb blows. He can make someone forget what they were about to say by using his words.
by using his words.
What? That's quote. That's what he states. Like he can have you, like if you're thinking about saying something.
What were you going to say?
There you go. But in your head, right? Because it's the same thing where you're trying
so in his mind,
Yes.
he'd be like, you don't know what you're saying.
like bend, or sign, or shut the fuck up. Stop what you're talking about.
Make me a sandwich.
Exactly. Man, I'm hungry. Are you hungry?
No.
Oh, well, I was going to make someone a sandwich, but I guess that was kind of an odd feeling. So he was one of those type of guys. So it wasn't really clear what happened with the Michael person, but for this guy in his goat experiment, it wasn't a combat pit or anything like that. He was actually in a room and the goat was in a different room,
That's more like
hooked up into machines and so on.
Yeah.
And so this is the first time that they had a successful goat stoppage, heart stoppage. And he said he never saw the goat. And in his head, he pictured himself going up like a golden stairway to heaven. And God was up there and him and God were hugging and embracing. And by doing that, he can feel like a coldness in his heart. And that's when he knew he was connected. to whenever he, I guess, expels energy, he has to like get there first.
Yeah.
And so once he felt that embrace, he pictured the painting. There's this one famous painting of an angel with a sword stabbing a demon. And that's what he was picturing. But instead of stabbing a demon, he was stabbing like a goat.
The goat.
Right. And after about 15 minutes, he stopped because they weren't telling him if he was successful, if he was not successful. They're just doing it. But he said after 15 minutes, he just stopped because he felt that whatever he was going to do had already completed. And that's when they told him the goat went down. They replicated the experiment, but instead of doing it exactly again, they said, okay, well now, because if we're going to use this heart-stopping thing, especially if it's remotely, we can use it as a assassination type of thing. Yeah. So we're going to have, I think there was like a mile away, 30 goats.
Oh, shoot.
And each goat is going to have a number on it.
Oh, so he's like, take out goat 17.
So they basically gave multiple envelopes, had him choose one. And whatever number was at the envelope, that was the goat that needed to.
What if that was the nicest goat?
Well, no goats are nice.
That's not true. Just because I can't think
Only
of one
baby
right now.
goats are cute.
Yeah.
They're just smelly.
You're just an animal hater.
Yeah, pretty much. So they picked the random number, and when he was doing it, he did the same exact thing. After 15 minutes, again, he stopped because he said, hey, I think I had it. And his number, let's say, was 12. Mm-hmm. It didn't kill that goat, but it knocked out the goat that was next to 12.
So whatever number, it was the next number goat.
Yeah.
It worked?
Well, it's not the next numbered goat. It was there was a goat near it.
Oh.
So a goat fell down, but it was not the correct number, but it was the goat was standing next to that goat.
That's pretty interesting.
Do you think it's random, or do you think he was actually targeting this thing?
I don't know. Do more. Yes. Keep it going. Let's test more.
That would make sense.
Oh.
But they did not really state multiple testings. I would feel like if this happened in 1980-ish or something, you could replicate this multiple times.
You could
He is alive.
doing this unless
guy's still alive right now.
Oh, I was going to say, unless it's hurting him physically to do it.
Yeah, he didn't state
Or if you can
like
find something morally wrong with killing all these goats, which I would have a problem with, just for the sake of experimentation.
Well, he also had an issue with...
I would have less issue doing it with inmates on death row.
Yeah, that's... Mm-hmm. He also had issues killing because they're like, he was making it pass out or fall down or getting knocked down, but they weren't actually, I don't think they were killing the goat.
They were just falling. They were dropping.
Yeah. Or maybe the first one did die, but it almost made it seem like they were just kind of passing out or getting getting hurt. Not, and these aren't the
these aren't the passing out goats.
No, these aren't, definitely not. And so he did not want to do the killing. Mm-hmm. And so maybe that's why he stopped the experiments. Who knows? Mm-hmm. They found Guy, and he was still doing things like this to like hamsters.
Jerk.
Well, again, not trying to kill them, but like trying to control their actions. So he would record himself. So regardless of the actual outcomes, he himself 100% believes is 100% true because he's still recording. He's still refining his techniques. He has what he says different levels of pain and not pain, but different levels of ability to influence.
Right.
And so he would try to, like with two hamsters running around, he would try to have both of them not go on the spinning wheel. One of them to feel sick and stay off to the side and try to
stay in this house.
Try and do something. And you can see on the video that it's kind of working. And then eventually one of them dies. So he thinks that he overdid it and killed it. Oh. And so that was kind of that. Though. Yeah. Now keep in mind too, they did an interview with him in like 2004. And even though the GOAT project and everything was stopped in 1995, there's thought that it actually continued after 9/11.
I bet it did.
Because it was almost like, well, use everything, any technique.
Yeah.
More specifically, there was a picture of the Abu Ghraib prison pictures where like you had a lot of these MPs being like doing inhumane things to the Iraqi prisoners. And so they're trying to think, is there a more effective way to expel or extract information, right? So yes, they're apparently, based off of his comment, he was actively recruited back to consult and to work on these programs. So even though it may have stopped in 95, who knows where it is now? It may continue.
Oh, I think it absolutely is continuing.
Because of all the success?
Just because we're never satisfied.
Never satisfied. In 1995, the CI closed everything down, going back to the last episode, and it continues to the military as well. But the military may still have, as you said, a little bit of the programs, because when they did an internal review, a majority of the successes couldn't be replicated in control situations. The data was often vague, or the readings were influenced by other factors, such as intel that was given to them. That's a pretty big
key factor there.
Yeah, let me tell you. I could tell you what's in the other room. An orange dog on a couch. What? How did you know that? A psychic. No, that person may have told them. There was
or
conflict
based
of
off
interest.
past experience, 90% of the time there is an orange dog on that couch. So
Yes. And so it led to a lot of false connections, and ultimately the individual accolades were rare and could not be substantiated. And going back, a lot of the information was not accurate, nor could it lead to a direct actions. And so the person who replaced General Stubblebine canceled the program when he took over.
what year was this?
I don't recall the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it was before 95 for the military. So everything kind of stopped after 95. And
I don't know. Maybe they're not still working with people on it, but I bet there's scientists in the government or in these special industries who are trying to fine tune how to perfect people with certain abilities.
I think they can put it to a smaller scale because what I think it was Colonel Shannon who stated that it's not the fact that we can one day walk through walls or do all this other stuff, but if you can prove that you can do something small, like predict accurately, whichever, then what else can you do?
Exactly.
And where can it go from there? So even though we're here at phase 0 or level 0, what
is it? What is it? We only use 10% of our brain?
Yeah. So if you unlock
what happened if you unlocked the other? It's like the show. It's like the movie Lucy.
Think of the potential.
Yeah.
So I do have one fun story. So that's it with the conclusion of the Project Stargate, the people who stare at goats, and the military application of some of these different
and the
things.
Cuddling a baby goat into war.
Yes, that was kind of fun. During one of the year's research, during the CIA.
Why goats? Okay, sorry.
Well, you know why goats, right?
Why No, I don't know why goats.
Well, the Special Forces use goats for numerous reasons. One of them is for medical training. And so they had an abundance of goats. Fun story of the day. There was an envelope with a sealed information in there that a psychic was going to read and do a remote viewing on. And he couldn't open it or anything like that. They just had to project what was inside to think about where it was going to go.
Okay.
And so this is, again, part of the CIA or the overall Project Stargate. And so they're looking at this, they're thinking about it, and they're talking about they're in a society that, is looks like it was dying. There's a lot of people who are really, really tall and thin. And it looked like they were struggling, or, there's a lot of storms or sands, and they're in some like pyramid type of thing. And they went on, and they're like, oh, well, if you see people, it was almost like they were directing them where, because there's a transcript of this later on, and like, okay, well, go to them, see what they're talking about. And he would like travel through the area, and they're like, well, they look like their clothing is, it's different than the clothing that we have. It's very bland. They look scared. All people are traveling. We'll go travel with them, and just all these different things. Like, it's almost like you're narrating, or I play a lot of video games.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you touch a relic and you go, whoa, and you are now into the old relic, and you're like walking around the past, and you can't interact or whichever. And so after they get done, they open up the envelope, and in there it says, Mars, 1,000,000 years ago.
I knew it.
You knew it?
I knew there was life on Mars.
So
that's really cool.
And so that was so cool that they actually made a huge book about it.
Oh, they did?
And, yeah, there's a...
What's it called?
I don't know, Mars, the transcript. I don't know.
Mars, who gives a fuck?
We went to the bookstore not a week ago, and I saw a book on that whole transcript. I'm just putting it as a footnote in our story, but because it goes really in depth, they go elaborate about this thing. But it threw the researcher off, and people, he was almost going beyond what the quote unquote CIA agent should have told him to go.
Beyond the
but he was so
guidelines.
curious. He was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
go do this, go do that."
Yeah.
And so it was a really famous remote viewing that got published and everything else. So if you want to look at it, go take a look at that. And keep in mind, it wasn't just like published or released, but it was released during the Freedom of Information Act. So that's when they found it. And they're like, "What? What do you mean the CIA, had a remote viewing of Mars?"
That is so cool. That is so cool. I wonder, I mean, probably in many years, we'll probably be able to prove that, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. So that's it for the kind of umbrella of these back-to-back episodes on psychics and the use of the
That was a
intelligence
lot
and
of
the
fun.
government.
Good job.
So-
That was a wild ride.
So what's your overall thoughts again on the military use? Because it's a little bit different, right? Because they did like almost like a sports enhancing techniques and so on with
It's
this.
funny because I actually really do think that it was a coup by Russia to get the U.S. engaged in this psychic study.
Yeah, like a propaganda.
Yeah,
piece.
yeah. I don't think that Russia was really doing anything. But
You know what? I think though, me personally, I think that with how much hate they have against mysticism, they must have. I do believe they may have saw something that would cause them to try it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whether it's the Germany thing or whether it's their own potential alien encounter or these people who came forward and claimed X, Y, and Z. So I think they also use it as an advantage to, because I don't think they can master it to an extent.
Right.
And so I think they hyped it up
Yeah.
so that the U.S., may think, oh my gosh, and they start doing their own piece.
Yeah.
Because I do think that there are some things that came out of it that were.
I definitely think that there's people with abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm a fan of origin stories because I feel like there's a little bit of truth in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, for people to be studying mysticism and to believe that these things are possible, it has to have come from somewhere. It has to have maybe been possible. It has to have maybe been proven to be possible in the past. It has to have maybe worked so frequently that it's passed on through history.
Yes and no. I think of sci-fi writers, and I think people can get pretty creative.
That's true too.
So I don't know if I don't buy the history piece, but I do think that there are things that happen, not to everyone, and I think there are people who recognize the consciously. There's a lot of unconscious things that go on. I think you have a few conscious people, and they are there. But similar to like if you see a UFO on TV right now or on YouTube, there's so many fake ones.
Right.
And I call all that white noise, that it's hard to filter out what actually is possible and truth. And because it's so hard to filter it out and you can't overly filter every single individual one, it just by default becomes dismissed.
Exactly.
So
that's what. So it's like I believe that it's there, but I don't know that we'll ever really see it concurred.
Well, we'll see. And I hope so. And I hope that if you're listening and you're like, I have psychic abilities, well, please call us, demonstrate us, put it on YouTube.
Contact
we'll advertise
us.
I'll be your sponsor.
Yeah. Contact us at stopthinkingwithyourbutt@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at stopthinkingwithyourbutt. Follow us on Twitter at stopthinkingwyb.
And
if you're a psychic,
you already know all that.
You already knew all that.
Yeah.
And that was a waste of your time, and I apologize.
And lastly, if you like our show, please feel free to give us a review on any of the listening platforms out there. Every review helps us out. And if you go to our linktree.com website, it's on all of our Instagrams, Twitters, and so on. You'll also see how you can join our Patreon.
Yes, and we have some wonderful things in the works.
Yes, so feel free to want to support us, and we will get awesome merch for everyone. We're already thinking about it.
Yeah, and we're thinking about you. Clothing optional.
Stay curious. Stop thinking with your butt.
Out.
my fart.